Esha, welcome to London.
Thank you, Andrew.
Ladies and gentlemen, I probably don't need to introduce you to this Indian superstar. This is Esha Gupta.
Thank you.
We are very new friends. We met how long ago?
A week back, right?
Yes. When I said to you, I had a shop in London, I expected this to just be like, oh, really, that's nice. But you were like, really? Tell me more.
Yeah, listen, the shop that you have, I want to see the amazing watches you have and talk more about them.
So in this video, I'm going to reveal a new watch alert because it all comes together. It's all part of the story.
Right.
And we're also going to introduce you to the London Watch Discovery Studio, a place I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
I feel like it's my home. And then we're going to talk watches.
We are going to talk watches and more.
This is the London Watch Lovers Clubhouse, home base. It's our second Discovery Studio.
I love that, and it's like you were telling me when we were talking about it, that it's a sanctuary for like watch lovers, and it is, because you're getting the customized and you're getting a whole feel of it. I love that. I love this, Andrew.
So while a lot of the brands you're seeing here are small independent and micro brands, we also have big events here, and we have big brands involved in the space, which is why now I think we can switch gears and look at some watches that I have prepared. Well, we're here, Esha.
Yeah, thank you.
We're stationed with a lot of wrist candy in front of us, which we're going to get into. Every watch is here for a reason. Now, I did tease before that I have a new watch alert. I'm still going to keep teasing you, but what are you wearing today? Because, and also, what are you wearing out there? Because that's the fun part, the wrist check.
Listen, it's a wrist check, but I got to say, like I told you, I'm not wearing a watch because we were walking on the streets, but but I got to play safe. So I carry my watch, and well, I got to show you, this is my beautiful watch, Andrew.
In an Instagram post that gained me about 5,000 followers where I'm standing next to or near Esha, she was wearing this watch. So this was on your wrist when we met in MECA-10.
Yes, that's
Why
true.
did you choose that one?
Of course, apart from the diamonds and the colors, which every girl likes, and especially the color, because I think the Indian skin tone goes really great with the mint. And it's a new collection, and it's the most spectacular watch I've seen. And I saw this watch, and when you saw this watch on me, you fell in love as well with it.
This mint color is just, I would almost call this like, it's kind of in that sage, pistachio sort of color world. Like this is a color that, we saw Rolex do an Oyster Perpetual in this color. It sort of absolutely smashed Watches and Wonders. So it is on trend and very cool and
elegant.
Elegant. And it's also the color of where's my laptop? I have, this is just what we do. It's also the color of the
Time+Tide.
Time+Tide, there it is.
That's why we knew that we'll connect. No, and listen, I mean, Hublot has come up with like some of the most elegant pieces, but this was by far for me like my favorite of the summer that they launched. So it has to be my favorite. Okay. And now you know why it's in my purse, guys. Yeah,
exactly. Playing it safe. Meanwhile, I'm just down there with this ridiculously baller Big Bang MECA-10 42 in rose gold on a black strap. There is a problem with this watch though. I'm going to get to that. But this is my big new watch alert. And if you follow me on Instagram, you're going to know that I did announce it this week. But
you should.
I did it. And now we finally can perfect this watch. I tried this on in Mykonos on this beige camo strap. That was the final piece.
That was the final piece.
That's when it just went to an atomic level. But yeah, look, this is a long time coming, this watch. The MECA-10 42 10-day power reserve manually wound watch, but so enormous. In its original version, this one in 42 mil, it's actually a millimeter slimmer.
I know, that's what we were talking about that day.
Than the Unico. So it actually somehow, even though it has this extra absolute weapon of a power reserve, it's slimmer than the chronograph. So this was the one for me. This is still taking the breath away. The wrist check is done. Hopefully you've told us yours in the comments. Now we move to the fun part, which is you and watches. Why? Because honestly, when I meet beautiful women, their interest in watches is less than zero, including my wife. Hi, Fee. I've been trying for 12 years to get my wife interested in watches. I've got nowhere. Yeah. So you're husband-to-be is a very lucky man because you genuinely were like, you have a watch shop? That's so cool. I want to come and see this. I love watches. What is it about watches that appeals to you?
It always tells a story. Watches are, I feel personally, it's always been about personality. My father's been into watches, but always the more elegant ones. And how men are, it changes with time. And I always think that watches speak so much about us. If we've talked about my collection, when we were on the boat, from what I started to where I am now, I see in my watches me as a person of, okay, that Esha was when she was 20. That was Esha like 5 years back. That's Esha now. And you can tell because they all have a story and they all have personality and different moods. And like we were talking before and even on the boat, like for me, this, we spoke about it. This by far, the chronograph of Hublot this year has been by far the most beautiful watch. If it was only a bit smaller dial, Hublot, this is my time of pitching in of the watch for me. I would have worn this because this again speaks my personality. Like this, when I saw it on you, and I could tell, I was like, okay, you know what? When you told me your story of how you started and how Time and Tide happened, it has Andrew in it, and I love that because it speaks Andrew. That's the same way all my watches, I think when people see, they're like, oh, it speaks Esha.
Yeah.
And it's just not like, I'll just buy an expensive watch. No, you buy a watch which tells a story.
And it's true. And when people, if you would say to me, why that one for me, it really comes down to what this watch delivered that I wasn't getting from other Hublot. I have a Stormtrooper, which is a white ceramic Unico, which I love to wear in summer. The more tanned you get, the more contrast you get.
Agree.
It's just such a great watch. But I really wanted to see some elements of hand finishing from Hublot somewhere. And one of the best exciting moments when this watch was released was that they hand finished the bridges. There's a hand finished beveling to the 3 bridges on the back, which you can see. And a 10-day power reserve. It's such a fun party trick when people say, oh, let me see that watch.
Let me see that watch.
That watch looks like it does something. Does it launch like atomic missiles? What does it do? It looks so complicated. And then I show them just by winding the crown, you see the arrow on the number of days just go up and up and up, right up to 10. So in a very simple way, you can then explain, and I explained this to you and your fiance, Manuel, what's happening when you're winding the crown is that these 2 power barrels are getting more and more and more compressed, giving it more power. So it's a very simple way for me to help, even in a small way, add that a little bit of, like, let me show you, because sometimes you're wearing a beautiful watch and someone says, so what's so good about it? It's just like, well, it's beautiful. But beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Whereas when people say, so tell me about this watch, I can show them something. So here's the thing. My creative director and brother by another mother, Marcus, said, dude, not the rose gold. Get the carbon. Look at this vibe of the carbon. And I'm asking
this
you,
one I've not seen.
What do you think of this? Because it's such a tactical kind of look, that carbon. Do you like it?
I love this. I mean, don't hate me. I love this more. But again, like you said, Marcus, you win. No, but then again, like you said, it has a personality, right? And this is more me, and this is also more, and like you said, it's the little details that we get into. And it's just not, okay, it's hand finished, but the little details, and you're like, oh, you know what? This is what it does to me. How the watch makes you feel is what a watch should be.
What is you about carbon finished to this standard that has this sort of urban feel about it? When would you wear this? What appeals to you about the
I always believe, and I mean, it's not just believe, but I know for a fact, and I like to believe as well in me, the fact that I'm really independent and strong. And I think that's what I want always a watch to make me feel. I don't want a watch to make me feel rich. I don't want a watch to make me feel like, hey, look at me. But I want people to look at me and be like, hey, what's the reason you selected this watch? And that's what it's about, because the only time we have is the present, right? And that's what the watches is.
Esha, we have this time, and I know that if you're watching this and you're an Esha fan, you're going to want me to ask this question, because the reason I did just go so over the top with the dress code is because I started watching your YouTube clips and I freaked out about how famous you are. And I actually posted about it on social media saying, so this person I met is actually maybe the most famous person I've ever met.
I love you.
19 million followers. Can you imagine? If we're pointing people who are watching this, maybe you're fans, also you're not fans, what of your work as an actress would you point them to say, if this is you, what movie is you? Which of your performances do you feel is the best way for people to meet Esha Gupta?
Well, if this is me, most of you, and I know you've seen that movie, this would be, I think, kind of, it goes against the movie in a way because it's the movie based 50s and the whole look is very 50s and it's based on a true story, Rustam. But she's a strong woman. She's fighting for her right. She's fighting for her family. And this is the watch for me, like if you have to watch that movie that represents my character and the movie, it's this and it's Rustam for me. It has to be.
This is Hublot, the brand that I have spoken about many times before because I believe that this brand is prepared to do things differently.
Take risks.
Be bold.
Yeah, always.
Be radical in design.
Always.
Be radical in the ways that they bring these exciting different watches to life. So many watches are effectively the same watch over and over again.
I agree. They're the ones who are always changing it up.
Yes.
That's the reason, like for me, like the love for Hublot has started from the fact that it's a brand, that it gives you stability, but it's the brand that always keeps going and it's always adding the little elements and changing with time. And I love that. But it's always Hublot.
Yes.
Like the Big Bang, it just completed, how many, 25 years? 20 years, Big Bang completed. Mm-hmm. The main watch remains the same and they just keep adding little things to it and little beauty. And I remember they even came in between with like the smaller dial for Asia and see the things that they keep doing.
Which you wore on another little shoot that I saw you do.
That's true. That's correct.
Now, look, we like to finish off interviews here at Time+Tide with a little fun game because being into watches, it's not all fun and games. It is an actual sickness. It never goes away. It only gets worse. It only gets more expensive. You think that this next watch is going to scratch the itch. It never gets scratched. I'm sorry to tell you. So we made a game called...
The only reason, sorry, I cut you. The only reason Andrew and I are not going to retire anytime soon is because of our love for watches. Because how do we afford it?
Exactly.
Right?
So we're going to play a little game.
Okay.
Now, this is a card game for watch addicts. It's questions that are just going to probably ruin your friendships, divorce your spouse. This is a very bad game to get if you're into watches. But I wanted to ask you a few questions.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. The most famous person I've connected over a watch with is?
Andrew.
Let's put that in the promo. I love that. No, really. Okay. You've met so many famous people. Is there anyone you've met that's just been that you've connected with over a watch you're wearing?
Just recently because we were all together and I was talking to him for hours on the boat was Hussein because his love for the watch, you can see that he's really into it.
Yeah.
So I love that.
If you ask this guy any question about watches, he will just tell you about the one time that he made a watch that included the leather from his spikes, his running spikes.
He told me.
He's got one story. It's an unbelievable story. The watch I'd wear if I was cast in a Hollywood movie.
Ooh.
Notice Hollywood, not Bollywood. Is there a difference?
Listen, it has to be the one which we were talking about, the Big Bang, rose gold,
yes,
the small dial with the diamonds. I think that's the one which I have worn. Actually, I wore it for the red carpet, one of the pre-Oscar parties. So I think I've already worn that.
Tested. Beautiful. That's a good question to ask this person. Name the person, celebrity, movie or moment that first got you into, because you're not just into watches as an ambassador. I can tell you that. I met a lot of ambassadors and they're like, yeah, that's great that you got a shop. That's nice. Anyone else that's more interesting or rich or, no, you're properly into it. When did that moment happen?
Okay, it's really funny, but James Bond got me into cars and watches, but as a woman, it's Victoria Beckham because, listen, when you're growing up and Victoria Beckham has always been known for her style. For women, we love her. Like, she's classy, she's elegant, and always changing with times. It's actually her. I always used to follow her fashion sense back in India. And then I started noticing her watches. Yes. And that's when I was like, you know what, this woman, and it's not the show. It's the beautiful collective items that she always has. And that's when I'm like, I love it. And few of her watches is what I want to steal.
Yeah. Last question. This is a funny one. If you catch me in a retailer or boutique, I'm probably...
doing my interview.
There we go. Again, answered like a true superstar. Esha, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Andrew.
When you said you wanted to come to the shop, I did not believe you.
I told you, listen, we spoke about it. Like you said, when we were walking on the street, that the moment you said, and what you do over here is amazing. It's just someone who's so passionate about watches, but not just collecting and being like, oh, see my expensive watch, but you are bringing like, brands that most of us have not heard about, at least me. And then you got me introduced to all the different brands, and our love for Hublot, I had to come see it.
I appreciate it so much. So if you have any comments or questions for Esha, please get in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and you are welcome to come and join me in this space as well. Esha, it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Time and Tide, guys.
Rock and
Remember.
roll. Thank you so much. See you on the next one.